Democratic presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. changed direction Sunday and, for the first time, called for an investigation into the Biden family business schemes. During an interview on Fox News, Kennedy emphasized his desire to avoid division, but acknowledged that if the report alleging the Bidens had received a $10 million bribe was true, an investigation was warranted.
These revelations about that where you have Burisma, which is this notoriously corrupt company that paid out apparently $10 million to Hunter and his dad. If that's true, then it is really troubling.
Kennedy continued that the politicizing of federal law enforcement should concern every American. He noted that federal agencies were once, quote, above politics, but now they were, quote, weaponized political instruments.
Your Devin Archer, former Hunter Biden business partner, is now scheduled to testify before the House Oversight Committee next Monday after canceling his appearance for the third time yesterday. According to reports, Archer is expected to say how Hunter Biden put then Vice President Joe Biden on phone calls with business associates from other countries upwards of 24 times, even though President Biden has repeatedly denied having any knowledge of Hunter Biden's businesses.
Mr. Vice President, how many times have you ever spoken to your son about his overseas business dealings?
I've never spoken to my son about his overseas business dealings.
Archer is reportedly expected to testify precisely to how he witnessed Hunter Biden using the influence of his father during business meetings by calling the former vice president. One incident in particular, as reported by the New York Post, involves the Burisma Holdings executive and the company's founder. Both Ukrainians allegedly met with Hunter Biden and Devin Archer at the Four Seasons Resort in Dubai in 2015. The Ukrainians reportedly, in the presence of Hunter Biden and Archer, asked Hunter to get his dad on the phone, which he did. Archer is expected to testify that he witnessed this kind of interaction frequently. On Fox News Monday night, House Speaker Kevin McCarthy talked about this rising to the level of an impeachment inquiry.
I believe we will follow this all the way to the end, and this is going to rise to an impeachment inquiry the way the Constitution tells us to do this, and we have to get the answers to these questions.
The expected bombshell testimony from Archer comes after the release of the FBI FD 1023 revealed allegations of a $10 million bribe allegedly paid out to Hunter and Joe by the Burisma Holdings founder to stop an investigation into his company. Greg?
Now, major Democrat donor Elizabeth Naftali gives big money for a Hunter Biden painting shortly after she was appointed to a cushy government post. And Speaker Kevin McCarthy shared a different Biden bombshell on Fox News.
We now find information that 16 out of 17 payments from Romania were provided to the Biden shell companies while he was vice president. When President Biden was running for office, he told the American public that he's never talked about business. He said his family has never received a dollar from China, which we now proved is not true.
So as these shady financial transactions pile up, will we see Joe Biden face impeachment?
I think there's no question he's going to end up facing an impeachment in the House. Whether or not they can get a conviction in the Senate, most everybody would say impossible. But I got to say, Greg, let's step back and look in the context of history. Listen, Nixon had won an absolute landslide, electoral college landslide, like 500 electoral votes. I mean, it was not 500, but it was outlandish, the number that he got over his McGovern in 72. And just, 15, 16 months later, had to resign. Why? Because Republican senators went to him and said, the jig's up, it's over, we can't handle this anymore, you're dragging down the whole party and the whole country. At some point, the Democrat Party and their leaders have to figure out that the Biden crime family is going to destroy the Democrat Party. I think at some point they're going to go to him and say, we're either going with the impeachment trial in the Senate and you're going to be convicted, or you're going to have to resign. Whether or not that happens, we'll see. But in the context of history, it's very possible that that could happen in the next few months.
Very interesting.
The media celebrated and defended whistleblowers in former President Donald Trump's administration. Not so much these days. The Washington Free Beacon reports last week when two veteran IRS investigators testified before Congress that the Justice Department interfered in their probe of Hunter Biden, major news networks had no interest, even when congressmen sought to tell the truth.
We're making the effort each and every day, but it is extremely difficult when you have another section of the media, a large swath of the media, doesn't want to pay any attention to this because it doesn't fit their narrative.
Any coverage legacy media did provide was highly critical of Republicans for persecuting Joe Biden's belittled son.
All of those things Republican congressmen have been saying about Merrick Garland that I said about him supposedly, those are lies too. So they're just throwing things at the wall because they're so desperate.
Yet it wasn't too long ago the mainstream media was celebrating whistleblowers from the federal government as courageous voices.
There's a big story in the Washington Post about a whistleblower inside the Trump administration who reportedly heard the president say something troubling to a foreign leader.
What a contrast last week when the entirety of CNN and MSNBC's coverage of the new hard evidence implicating the president in a criminal bribery scheme came down to this.
Right, the FBI and the White House sharply criticizing a move by Senator Chuck Grassley, the Iowa Republican releasing an internal FBI document with unverified claims from 2016 that President Biden and his son Hunter purportedly received bribes from the CEO of the Ukrainian energy company Burisma.
The FBI report detailing claims of a bribery scheme involving Joe and Hunter Biden seemed not to meet the media's suddenly unattainable standards for scandalous intel about a president. Greg?
All right, once again, let's talk with America's Constitution coach, Rick Green. Rick, whistleblowers went from heroes when testifying against Trump to zeros when testifying against the Bidens. I want you to listen to Nancy Pelosi's observation of the hearings.
What a ridiculous clown show, again, on the part of the Republicans. Here was a purpose that you described. What do? Bring in Joe Kennedy talking about censorship, that he's being censored.
Joe Kennedy. Besides Nancy exhuming Joe Kennedy, would you be surprised if I told you Pelosi tried to say Donald Trump is influence of the hearings on government and big tech censorship?
Wouldn't surprise me a bit, Greg. And you know, just look at the difference here. I was listening to the clip that you played, and the drama because someone might have heard Donald Trump say something that was troubling, a troubling phone call that they might have overheard, and we had an entire impeachment and all of the drama over that. When now on the other side, we have actual documents, actual recorded phone calls, actual testimony. We have Joe Biden himself bragging about successfully getting them to fire the prosecutor that he got $5 million while he's serving as vice president to put that pressure on, as well as Hunter getting the $5 million. So, I mean, we'd have an actual bribery, actual criminal scenario here, and they just want to act like it's not happening. These whistleblowers, they're ignoring completely. It's not going to last, man. The sunlight is coming out here. It's going to be a disinfectant that hopefully helps us to clean up the swamp and get rid of some of this corruption. This is just too over the top. They can't keep the charade up much longer.